Alright, so little thing that I found useful was to take all the old valve stem seals and put them in a plastic bag. That way you ensure that you've accounted for exactly how many you have to take out and put back in. So 6-cylinder, 4 valves per cylinder, that's 24 valve stem seals to keep track of. And each valve stem seal comes with 2 keepers or retainer collets. They're really small. So 24 times 2 is 48 collets that you've got to keep track of. Now, how to use the snap-on tool to get these collets or keepers back in place. There's another part of this tool, looks like this. I'm going to explain how that works. This goes onto the piece that I talked about in the previous video. It just gets magnetically held in place. And then we're going to take the spacer and put it back on top of the spring here and install the collets or the keepers. This takes utmost care because these collets are so small. So delicately, very delicately place them on top of the spacer in the hole where they're supposed to go. Mike had recommended that you cover up any and all places on the head where such keepers might fall, and that's why you see the engine covered with tape and cloth and such, just to prevent the possibility of these keepers falling somewhere inside the head and not being able to find them again. So that's one. Let's see if I can get the other one in. Very delicate. Now you can see that they're both in there.
Not focusing well.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Alright, pan back up to me. So the way this little piece here works is it has a retractable or spring-driven, kind of like a nail. And what happens here is the nail centers the keepers or collets on the center of the valve stem. And the base of this thing actually goes like this, forces those keepers to go down into the spacer. And when it's pushed down enough, the collets are forced down and the valve stem itself is pushing this center piece back up, and in so doing it forces the keepers to go into the right place. So when you push this whole thing down, if done right, it will make a snapping sound when it bottoms out. If I'm lucky, we'll get it to work out this time. It takes a lot of force. You can use the hammer to get it back in, but I don't think that you have the same level of control in putting the thing back together that you do if you muscle it in by hand. So that's why I'm using just brute force to get it back in. So let's see if it works out here. Focus on down here. Right there. I'm going to push like mad. There was the snap. And there you can see that the keepers are in place.
That's blocking it.
What's that?
Can't see.
Oh, sorry. Over here. Yeah, there it is. The keepers are in place. Back up a little bit to keep it in focus. There we go. Keepers are in place, and the valve is being held up again, once again by the valve springs.